If you like this video, please click on the like button. Comment with the names of the movies you would like us to cover next. Click the subscribe button and press the bell icon to get notified of our latest creations. We cover 100 movies from around the world every day. To advertise with our channel, reach out to us. Our contact information is on our channel page. Now, let's move to the plot of this movie.
Past. During a riot in Kerala, a group of young men uses the situation to brutally murder Christopher's sister. They also kills his parents and set his house on fire. A young Christopher seeks to avenge his loved ones and chases the perpetrators with a butcher's knife, but is stopped by SP Vetrival. When Vetrival learns about the injustice that happened to Christopher's family, he shoots the perpetrators to death. This incident inspires Christopher to become a police officer by using vigilantism and police encounters to safeguard the civilians. Vetrival takes care of Christopher's education, and later clears the civil service exam to become an IPS officer. After Christopher completes his police training, Vetrival, who is on deputation in the central government, intervenes to get Christopher receive his first posting as ASP in Madhya Pradesh, where many women were killed by the feudal landlords. Christopher uses instrumental techniques in capturing and killing the real perpetrators behind the brutal happenings and becomes an encounter specialist. He is assisted by SI Ishmael, who became his right-hand man. Later, Christopher shifts his base to Kerala and was promoted to the rank of SP. One day, Christopher meets Beena, who is the Pondicherry district collector, regarding a series of robberies and murders which constantly took place in a densely forested area. Christopher and his team decides to take up the mission. The operation is completed successfully, but Ishmael succumbs to his injuries. At Ishmael's funeral, Christopher learns that Ishmael's relatives were dead against accepting his daughter Amina after her parents died, which leads Christopher to adopt Amina as his own child. Christopher was posted as the SP of Crime Branch. After some days, Beena also shifts her base to Kerala. Upon Beena's request, Christopher married Beena and they lived a happy family life. At a hotel in Kochi, a group of girls are found heavily doped by young men. From the investigation, it is found out that the real culprit is Beena's younger brother Sebastian, a drug addict. Along with her father MP Chakokkan and ADGP Abhilash Balakrishnan, Beena settles the issue by providing a huge sum of money to each of the girls. A maid, who works at Chakokkan's home, tells Christopher that her daughter has been missing for a few days. Christopher decides to investigate and learn that Sebastian has brutally killed the girl under the influence of drugs and destroyed her body using a crusher and had also hidden the remaining body parts and hair in some statues in his father's ceramic factory. Sebastian is arrested by Christopher. The next day at the court, Sebastian tries to escape from the clutches of the police by behaving violently and snatches a rifle from a cop in order to kill the victim's mother by hitting her on the head. But she was saved by Christopher, who shoots Sebastian to death. After this incident, Christopher and Beena get separated. With this, Christopher loses everything, but the only person who was with him was Amina. Few months later, Christopher rejoined the force service, but is made to stay away from law and order, and is posted in the DPCAW. After some years, he gets promoted to ADGP. Present. One day, Christopher kills 4 people in an encounter for brutally assaulting and murdering a woman. Under pressure from the human rights activists, CM Rajashekharan Menon is pressured by Beena, who is the present Home Secretary, to launch an investigation into the deaths of 4 youngsters. ACP Sulekha is appointed to lead the investigation, where unearths Christopher's past and the previous encounter killings instead of probing by looking into the case files. Meanwhile, Amina, who is now a lawyer and social activist, investigates the death of a woman Ashwini Trimurthy and her father, who are the wife and father-in-law of Sitaram Trimurthy, a rich business magnate and the owner of Saukhya Group of herbal products. From the investigation, Amina deduces that Sitaram had killed Ashwini and father-in-law in order to usurp their properties. And after they realizes that he is trafficking drugs, she shares her suspicions and doubts to Christopher. One day, Amina is found dead. With Amina's death, Christopher is completely shattered. Sulekha decides to take up the investigation of Amina's murder, where a corrupt and sociopathic DYSP George Kotrakan is also included in the team. Christopher soon finds out that Sitaram had hired a dangerous criminal named Maramuthu to eliminate Amina. Christopher manages to track down Maramuthu in Tamil Nadu, where Sulekha and team arrive to provide backup for Christopher. Sulekha hands over Maramuthu to George. However, George, who took bribes from Sitaram and also from his assistant Pathalam Suresh, lets Maramuthu escape into the forest, where he is again nabbed by Christopher. Christopher and his assistant SP Vadivakarazi calls Sulekha to a secret location where Christopher makes Maramuthu confess his crimes completely. Christopher also reveals George's corruption and his ties with Sitharam. Christopher finally reveals the truth about the failure about the present legal and policing system to Sulekha, and also tells her that even if she arrests Maramuthu, he will definitely be freed by the judiciary. Sulekha later understands Christopher and decides to support him completely, and Maramuthu is hanged to death by Christopher in that hideout itself. Later, Christopher tracks down George and Suresh, where he makes George to confess the truth. After George reveals Sitaram's name, Christopher shoots him to death and arranges Suresh to finish off Sitaram, as Suresh had been fooled by Sitaram earlier. However, Sitaram manages to overpower Suresh and kill him. At the same moment, Sitaram was confronted by a police team headed by North Zone ADGP Gaurashankar, who is Christopher's best friend. Sitaram is arrested and sent to prison. Sulekha meets Beena and tells about Christopher. She also reveals that she was there in one of the girls in the hotel in Kochi. Beena realizes about Christopher's character and decides to reconcile with him. Despite being in prison, Sitaram kills Beena using carbon monoxide poisoning by releasing the gas through the air conditioner in her room. Enraged, Christopher becomes determined to finish Sitaram, where he is completely cleared of all charges and joins back his duty. Christopher arrives at the prison, where Sitaram is kept, and finally kills him with the help of the warden Superintendent Shahji, who is Amina's distant relative and Ishmael's brother. Sitaram's death is written as an act of self-defense, and Shahji promises Christopher that he will look after all the further proceedings. A few weeks later, Christopher adopts the younger sister of the assaulted woman and moves ahead with his life.